Hello YouTube fam, how y'all doing? It's your Uncle Tim. This is Uncle Tim Rants and Reviews, the channel where I rant and I review. I'm your host, Uncle Tim. Fam, you know what? I think I take it for granted sometimes that you watch. I just want to let you know that I do appreciate each and every last one of you all. I know sometimes I come off entitled, cocky, arrogant, but I don't mean to. It's just part of my personality, man. I figure you put the work in and all of that, and whatever else comes from it is what it is, man. I love when you watch and comment, and I just want to make sure you understand and know that going forth there will be no more red pill talk on this channel from me, and I'm gonna let that be known, man. You know what? Whatever issues that I had going on with me, I got out of it. So my thing is straightforward now. We're gonna be doing maybe some stuff about the economy. I ain't gonna lie, that affects all the collecting. We're gonna talk about conspiracy theories, and we're gonna talk about the toys, man. And we're gonna talk about the members only situation. Like I said, the members only situation starts out at 99¢. You can go to my channel and go to the members section, and it will allow you to become a member if you like. It starts out at 99¢. Tier 1, tier 2 is $1.99. Tier 3 is a $2.99. Hopefully coming soon, I do a members only giveaway. At 40,000 subscribers, if we make it there, living doesn't happen, I'm gonna do a giveaway there. I want to do something nice, and I'm so proud to make it to 39,000. I'm so proud that people watch, enjoy, let me know that they listen to me on the way to work, and sometimes they feel the same way, man. I don't want you to ever think you're not appreciated. From the bottom of my heart, man, I really mean that. Sometimes I don't have nobody to talk to, and I talk to you all. And I think that translates sometimes because you can feel it. You can feel when somebody's being genuine and not just, talking, randomly talking to you. Dude, you can feel it when somebody like, man, dude, it's just like, man, I'm fighting an uphill battle on some stuff, man. I was talking about money. I was talking about housing. I was talking about jobs, kids, being married. I was just talking about all of it because, at the point in time, man, I was going through some stuff. And, I'm supposed to be going to Poland with my wife this year. And, her mom was saying maybe Tim shouldn't come because right now it's a lot of a situation going on here in Poland, dealing with people who are not from the country, people of color. And I just put my head down because I was just like, man, and my wife said, hey, if he's not coming, I'm not coming. And dude, when I heard that, I was like, man, I'm willing to battle whatever we battle when we get there. And she was like, man, that's what I want to hear. Dude, you want to hear that come out of somebody's mouth. You want to hear somebody say, I got your back. Because if you got my back, I got yours 100%. And dude, I look here sometimes and, I may get mad at collecting because I've been going to Ross's. Before we went to Costco today, and I'm going to tell you, Costco is expensive as I don't know what. We went to we went to 3 Ross's. 1 DD's. Because, they're all over the place. And my Ross's do not look like yours. I do not have AEW figures in Ross or DD's. I don't have Turtles of Grayskull. I don't have the Simpsons figures. I don't just have Marvel Legends. I don't have DC Multiverse. Dude, I'm not having too much of anything. No Motu figures. Bro, I get figures sometimes at some of these places, man, but, it's a work in progress. And, this is what I'm talking about with collecting. You take the good and the bad. You keep moving forward, man, and you see, I had to listen to my wife when she was talking about cutting out them online buying sites where I used to buy like eBay, Amazon, and all that. And I looked as I went and started buying at the store, and someone said, hey, Unc, what if you don't find it at the store? And that's what it is, bro. Live to fight another day, man. The money I was spending on eBay and stuff like that, man, was a little bit out there, man. And it just wasn't worth the hassle anymore. Then I had to deal with porch pirates. Then I had to deal with stuff getting lost at, your box, at the P.O. box at the post office, man. And I was just like dealing with a lot of stuff. Then, you go there and get your stuff, and they be like, man, you always have so many boxes, and you hearing so many things, and, people talking and stuff like that. And they were like, why do they call you Uncle Tim for? And I was explaining and things like that. I've been called Uncle Tim by every damn body, even people I wasn't even related to. Dude, my nephews and stuff come over my house. They bring their friends. They're like, Uncle Tim. Like, man, I don't even know you. I had an issue today with one of the people from the channel and over there on the Facebook group. He explained to me that a lot of his posts are being taken down. And, I looked, I went through everything, and what he posted, man, I had to talk to him. I said, the first picture is okay. The second picture, even though it's action figures, it's nudity in this. And he said, you talk all that red pill talk and all that stuff on your channel, and you talking about his kids, here on this Facebook group. I said, what I talk about on the channel is rated as grown people. I said, that's what it is. That's what it comes off. But I said, this group is for everybody. It's a closed group, as far as the Facebook group, but it's for everybody. And nudity, man, I just draw the line at that, man. We don't need to be doing that. Man, we supposed to be representing something, man. I understand, our creative integrity and all that creative process and all of this stuff. But again, at the end of the day, man, I want to show an example of grown people just over here collecting, having a good time. From time to time, I have to talk to people in the group because they get a little rambunctious and, they get beside themselves and, they feeling themselves. You want to bash everybody for buying something. You can't do that. You can't bash people. Then you want people to come to the group and, share. This is why people don't share, because you can't. Dude, I would love to see everybody's collection. I would love to see what people have and what they got going on, as far as their customs and, works in progress. I do shorts on your customs. Just send them to me. I put the my email address in the community section. For you can send me pictures of your customs, and I will do list shorts on them saying who they from, how they went about making it, how good it looks. And, man, like I say, this channel is positive. Sometimes I come off a little negative. I deal with a few issues every day, and I had my wife to set me straight today. She said, man, you be looking mad as hell. She said, you have this look on your face. Don't fuck with me. That's the look you have on your face. She said, it looked like you'd be ready to punch a wall. People be scared. And she said, this is why this comes. And I'm sitting here thinking, you got a point. I do be looking like this. So, a lot of this comes from me. So I have to work on that. You got to look in the mirror, man. Someone said I don't edit my videos, man. This is how we do it here. I like to just come in, one take, we talk about it. It is what it is, man. I don't want to come in with some perfect, video, whereas, you like, man, I don't want that. I want a video where you can see me in it. You be like, yeah, I could understand, man. He seemed like one of us, regular. Dude, I'm a regular person who go through regular shit, who deal with stuff on a daily basis, get tired, don't want to do stuff sometimes, a couple of days out of the weekends, man, I don't do anything. Sometimes I don't go out. It's not because anything's wrong. It's just sometimes I'm so tired. I don't know what's going on, but, being who we are and, being grown and, got to get out there and work. I was talking to my sons the other day. They both work. They both got their own place, and all that stuff. They live, one live in, Chicago, one live out of state, and they were just talking to me about work. And I was like, man, ain't you happy to have a job? And he was like, I'm happy to pay my bills, but, work is work. He said, I don't want to go there. He said, but if you're acting a fool in there, he was just venting. And I just loved it. I enjoyed it. He said, man, I didn't know how good I had it when I was a kid. I was complaining. And, I thought when I got older, I was going to get this job that's going to magically pay all my bills and I'm going to be able to travel the world. He said, that didn't happen. He said, I got a good job, but it's not one of those jobs that You know, man, I'm in Hawaii this month. You know, I'm in Rome next month, and you know, I'm gonna be in Prague the month after that. No, he said it's a job where it's, you know, maybe I save some money. I'll be able to go on vacation this year. You know, he was like talking real, man, and I was just listening to it, and I was just laughing because I was like, man, I think a lot of y'all just thought money just grew on trees and stuff like that. He said, but no, Dad, the way you buy stuff, you made it look like, you know, something was really real. He said, you buy stuff all the time. And he said, man, when I see you buy stuff, it's just a trip. He said, man, it just look amazing sometimes the way you go about doing stuff. And he said, man, you know, for the most part, he said, I'd be so appreciative. He said, man, I see you buy stuff all the time, and you talk to me about why not to buy certain things. And he said, man, I get it. Dude, it made me feel real good. But that's the process, man. Sometimes you got to trust the process. Sometimes you got to sit in it and say, you know, man, you got to let people sit in it and be like, whether it's going to be okay or not. Man, I'm just sitting here trying to enjoy everything. Do it as we go, man. You know, like I said, it's all a work in progress, man. I've been buying stuff for the longest, man. But you know what? I buy stuff that I like. I buy stuff that I think is going to be okay, you know, for the long haul. You know, I buy stuff that, you know, I like, man. You know, like, man, I actually like this. That's the way you should buy stuff, man. You know, I know my collection doesn't work for everybody. And, you know, that's life. It shouldn't work for everybody because it's yours. You know, it'd be things that people would change about everything. And I think it should be things that people change about everything. Your stuff should reflect you. And, man, that's what I'm doing. My stuff is reflecting me. I'm trying to get stuff situated. A lot of people have been talking to me about comic books and what I'm going to do as far as comic books. Am I going to, you know, when the place come, you know, as far as us moving, you know, am I going to get a, you know, go harder into comic books? You know, the thing is, man, I've been running into the issues where when we were looking, a lot of places had unfinished basements. Some had finished basements. And when you have a finished basement, man, one thing that you worry about here in Chicago or anywhere else in this world is flooding. And with that flooding, man, you know, you got all this stuff. You don't want it to get jacked up. So I was thinking about places where I could put it, you know, like, you know, you got the first, the second floor, and you had a basement sometimes. Or if you just got a ranch, you know, you just thinking what room you could put it in. And that's what I was thinking about, man. My wife was saying, man, this would make a perfect man cave. She just said, I'm just worried about all the flooding that's been happening all, you know, over the country. You know, I don't want, you know, all of this, you know, you get your stuff down there and finally get it the way you want it. Then, you know, all of this happened. And that's just what I thought about. You know, I just thought about everything and I just listened. So right now, everything is a work in progress. You know, just sitting here thinking about some stuff. You know, our brother Rothschild Stalks told me in a comment that they got AEW figures at Ross. And, you know, I believe them because a lot of other people sent me pictures. It's just in my area, man, they're not there. It's just, I see so many people picking up so much awesome stuff. Don't get me wrong. When I go to my Rosses, I may find one piece or two pieces. And, you know, it goes from there. You know, like I said, I'm going to do a subscriber giveaway. Then I'm going to do a members only giveaway. So if you're not a member, you might want to become a member because I want to give away something really nice. Yeah, you know, like I said, you know, as far as everything is going, dude, I'm just trying to get everything situated. It's so much of stuff that I didn't realize I had, you know, until you look around and you start looking. I want to do an in-depth thing of the man cave, and not even just the man cave, just go through some of the totes and show you what's in the totes. You know, if I get a chance, take you to the storage unit. My wife said, I don't know about that because, you know, people, you know, they be doing stuff, you know, they be triangulating stuff. They find out where it's at and people be trying to rob you, you know. And I thought about that because she has a point. That's so real, man. That is so real, Brody. And you got to think about stuff like that, man. So I was just thinking about that in the process, rather. And I want to take you to the storage unit. And I want to show you what it looked like, man. It is crazy. bro. And I know you like, why you just don't use that as your man cave? Because, bro, you could only go so many times. And you could only stay so long. And the door got to be up while you in there. I don't want the door to be up all the time while I'm up in there. Because people do what people do. They snoop, they look. And, man, like I told you at one point in time in the first storage unit I was in, I had my video game stuff set up. And my friends, they came in with me. I had a portable generator. Because he was telling me, the landlord said, hey, you cannot use none of our power. I said, man, I'm good with that. I'm good. So I got a portable generator. It was like solar power. And we had it in there. Man, me and my friend, man, we had all the consoles hooked up. We was in there playing. We wasn't super duper loud or anything. We was in there, everybody was playing. There was TVs on the wall. This is how I had it. Dude came in, man. He came in looking around like, you can't be doing this, man. You just cannot be doing this. He said, you can't be living in here. I said, brother, look around. I'm not living in here. I said, I'm using it as a storage unit. I said, right now, this is my man cave. And I said, this is what I'm using it as. I'm sitting here playing this game. He's like, man, could I get a key when you ain't around? I told you all about this. I said, man, I can't do that. I said, what's wrong with you? I said, I ain't get no key to this. Man, he laughed it off and everything. And we laughed and we talked about it. And I ran into him one day last week, and he was saying, man, I remember you, bro. You had the man cave. You had like toys on one wall. You had your shoes on another one. And he said you had the video game straight up set up. He said, man, that was a setup I never seen in a storage unit. He said, man, people were really talking about it. Because in these storage units, they had ceilings that were connected all the way around. The ceiling and the walls were connected. In certain storage units, you can go up, look like you can climb over the top of one unit into the next. But in this one, you couldn't do that, man. It was nice, bro. It was nice. Then I had a little section where I had my clothes set up, right? I had my coats hung up on racks and stuff. I had my shoes on a little mat. Dude, you'll swear, I ain't no lie, for a minute. It did look like I lived there. But no, he understood. Man, you can see me come in and out every day at a certain time. I come in, play the game. If not, you may not see me that whole week. I come in. Man, he sat on the couch with me a couple of times and played the game. Dude, he was like, man. He said, man, I done seen it all. He said, man, because I had another storage unit a while back. And I just had clothes in it, man. I had it set up like a closet in there. Dude, I was in there picking out stuff, when I was on web for the week. And this storage manager came in and took a look, and he was like, damn, how do you got this set up? He said, I didn't know you could do that in here. Because before I came in there, I cleaned the entire unit out. I cleaned, swept, mopped. I cleaned walls, bro, because I got stuff going in there. Stuff that I really appreciate. I don't want my stuff going into a stank place. Dude, it went in there, and these are heated. It went in there, and dude, everything was cool. It was just people looking like it was set up like a closet. And that's the fun thing, man. The fun thing is to keep it moving, man. Keep it good. And keep it 100. Man, it's all about having fun. If you cannot keep your stuff in your house, if you got a storage unit, and the thing is, I don't like seeing clutter, and you would expect, I had like a living room size. I had like one living room and like one this size room. And this is like half the size of a living room. Dude, the way it was set up, it was just straight up on point. And it was fun. And you know what? I miss it sometimes. But you know what? How far I had to go to get to it. I had to drive there. And dude, like I said, I had all type of stuff. I had VCR movies, man. I was sitting there and watching a damn movie and everything. Dude, it was crazy. Because I'm crazy, man. Hell, if I can't use my stuff at my house, I'm going to use it somewhere, bro. And if I'm paying an arm and a leg, let's see. Dude, back then, the storage units were $150 a piece. That was like $300 a month. Of course I'm going to use these damn things. $300 a month. Because I couldn't store my stuff where I was at. So I was using that. And they were like, man, you don't ever be home. No, I'm over here chilling. Man, please. Am I entitled? To a point. Am I spoiled? To a point. Dude, I think sometimes we spoil ourselves. Sometimes, other people spoil us. Sometimes people treat us good. Sometimes people talk to us and make us feel better, man. Because sometimes, man, we be having bad days. When I say we, I'm talking about all of us. Sometimes all you need is some people just to talk to you. And that's what I like about this channel and talking to y'all. It makes me feel better. Even if people come with mean comments and just disrespectful. And I know I've been trolling a lot of people with the names Lebanon, James, and what's his name? Jason Morant. I was calling people. I was calling. Guy said, who is Lebanon James? Who is Lucas Donaldson, right? Michael Gordon. Man, but you know what? That's the fun part about it, man. You get everybody laughing. You get everybody to chop it up. And, whether the comments are negative, people are commenting. And then people start wanting to watch other videos. That's a positive, man. And I've been adding a lot of music to the shorts. That way, it could reach a larger audience, man. Sometimes you just want people to see the stuff that you're doing, man. But to Later Fam, thank you for watching. I just want to say thank you. And again, ladies, I heard you. No more red pill talk. I understand. I understand it's a lot of women that watch this channel, and I want to just be 100. I heard you loud and clear. And I know guys, you don't say, man, you don't have to conform this or that to anybody. But you know what? Every now and then, enough is enough. I think we hit where we gonna hit. It's enough of channels doing that. We don't need to do that. But to Later Fam, I want to say again, thank you as always for watching. I appreciate you. Much love from your Uncle Tim. Peace out.